All right, picking up where we left off last week with our grab and stuff project. Let's go ahead and open that up. You should have two scenes, two levels made in Pro Builder. The first one is that swimming pool level, whatever else you wanted to add on to it, and we should go from there to transition at some point, some magical portal, something you did in level one get you to level two. Level two is whatever you built. And then we had a couple of first-person controllers. The first for last week, we had the simple physics one, the Benji first-person controller in the first scene, and then another one that you made in scene two, following some of the tutorials. We had some stuff going on, so I want you to fill scene two at least, or one of the scenes. I think scene two is what I said, with physics objects that we can smash up later, right? So boxes with box colliders and rigid body on them, so that when I come at them with a shotgun, I can shoot them across the map. So we will be using physics and rigid bodies for our shooting this week. Now, if you built a first-person controller for that second scene and it's based on character controller, that guy doesn't use physics. So that character will not be able to kick your boxes around. We won't be able to do anything with those boxes until we get our shotgun loaded. Yeah, so sorry if there was some confusion there. There's the rubric from last week. So I'm still working on the rubric for this week because, again, I woke up stupid yesterday and just couldn't think. But I got it started. So we're going to pick up with those levels. We'll start here. Oh, I've already got it open, so I got the tab open twice. This is why my computer hates me. Here's a video covering everything, but we'll just do it live here. So I'm going to take this script. We're going to get our weapons, each of them firing their own kind of bullet. And we'll work on that. And then depending on how much time we've got today, we may get into nav mesh agents, so enemies that can walk around our levels that we can shoot at, maybe even shoot at us. And if we don't do that today, we'll do that Thursday. And then we're also going to look a little bit at canvas and text and updating things. So opening up last week's project, I lost control of myself. This is all Pro Builder. So instead of making the rubric for this week, yeah, I lost myself. Huh? Yes, I cried for help and I kept going. So here's my level two. It's kind of, yeah, there was a little bit of ADHD that happened. I got hyper focused and I just kept going. So we start here. We've got our turbo lift. We've got sounds. Right. Here we go. We've got ambient noises going on. Got our dome open to space. Yeah. And there's this was in the 1960s, they predicted giant LED TVs. That was the view screen. Yeah, and so you would sit here in the recliner and you'd have someone else control what was on the TV and you just sat and watched your movies. It was fantastic. There's a Starfield skybox. Okay, let me stop the recording. I got to go do something. So that ended up being my level two because, again, I just lost control of myself. A little too much 3D modeling in Pro Builder, but I had fun. So I will demo our guns and stuff in level one because that's where I've got stuff at. I'm starting to set up my next thing, but we should have pickups. So don't mind that. It's no big deal. All right, so we got our shotgun pickup from last week. And I don't think I added in anything else. So I think if I go pick up a second gun, because I didn't account for this yet, then I'm just going to be holding two guns. But I think both in the same hand. So I might have messed this up. But anyway, I decided my second weapon would be a toaster. So now I've got a toaster. and I'm gonna shoot bread. So we got this far. We got pickups. We got worlds where we can jump too far, and we've got our swimming pool. So back in Unity, we'll start with the shotgun. So this guy is going to need some scripts on him to make go boom boom. Yeah, obviously. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll just leave Pro Builder up there. No, I'll take it out for now. Go away, Pro Builder. It was nice hanging out with you. I'll see you later. So we need a new script, and we just need to, what do I even call it? So I got a game manager, fire projectile. Makes sense. I like it. So add a new script to the shotgun. Don't need it on the pickup. The pickup's just a spinning dummy. I need it on the thing that I'm actually firing from. Create and add. And let's see if Visual Studio will do all of my coding for me again. That'd be fantastic. So I'm going to need first, put that there. Why is that up right up there? Enter. There we go. I'm going to need just a transform. And it's going to be where we spawn our bullets from. So we're going to instantiate bullets. And so I need a place to logically launch the bullets from my shotgun or whatever it is I'm using. So what are we going to call that? Yeah, boom from here. Sure. Yeah, we'll just go boom from here. There we go. We like it. And then we're also going to need go boom 2 here. Okay. Yeah. No, we're just going to go forward. But thanks, Visual Studio. You are really trying, and we appreciate you for it. Yeah, it's saying, oh, you have this. What about that? And so I'm just going to use a game object. Okay, so I'm using Visual Studio 22, and there is a plugin, and I don't think we covered it. So, but there is a Unity plugin for Visual Studio that definitely understands Unity. And I can't type and talk at the same time. We need a bullet prefab, and then we'll need a. Well, yeah, sometimes you want to fire 2 bullets. I'm just going to do a float, and then we're going to call it bullet force. And that's just me making up stuff based on what I remember from last time we did this, but I'm going to go check it out on Canvas. So we need a prefab. We need that. We'll get the game manager stuff later. We'll do that later. And then in update, we just need to start getting our inputs and doing cool stuff. So I'm gonna copy paste. Even though I'm sure Visual Studio with my plugin can just make all this up for me. Copy this in, and so in update, do that. We don't have this yet, so I'll take that back out. All right, so let's back up a tick from here. So apparently I was calling it start bullet here. Let me just fix that. Go boom from here is what we decided we're calling it this year. All right, and then sweet. I used the same thing for bullet force. So some of the naming was consistent year over year. All right, so we're going to look for get button down, which in my mind is almost reversed. It like if I hold the button down, it almost feels like that would be what we get called here. But no, get button down is just we get called once when the button first goes down. If you want to hold your button and just auto fire from whatever your button is, like hold it down and then just get button, and then every frame we're gonna get to rapid fire. But getting button down gets called once. We're looking for fire 1. I'm going to show you the input manager in a minute, and we'll see where those come from. So if someone hits fire, we're going to instantiate a temporary bullet handler. Okay, so I'm just saying, hey, here's the container for my whole thing. My temporary bullet handler that I just made up. I'm going to instantiate the bullet prefab. Whatever I told this script was my bullet. I'm going to want you to have different bullets for different guns. Make sense?
Makes sense.
We don't want to fire bread from the shotgun. We don't want to fire shotgun shells from the toaster. Whatever you're using. Maybe. Right? So I'm going to create the bullet prefab. In this instantiation call, I'm going to say, you start here. And so I'm going to have an empty called go boom from here. And I'm going to get the position and the rotation of that and say, this is where I'm starting my bullet from. It lives right there. And then we're caching that as a game object, just in case. So instantiate the bullet in this position, at this rotation, as a game object. We've done nothing so far. We've got a bullet that just now appears in front of our gun. Now, assuming you did your job right and you put a rigid body on your bullet prefab, now we're going to get that. So I'm going to get the temporary rigid body from there. Why am I doing this in 2 lines? I could do this in 1, but anyway, we'll just keep it. So my temporary rigid body, I'm going to get from the bullet. So I've got the bullet, get component, get the rigid body from the thing that I just added as my bullet. Now I'm going to get that rigid body, add force. We might have to change this up depending on your gun and your prefab for your bullet and everything else. But we're going to assume at this point, we're going to launch it forward. So straight along the blue Z-axis, positively. So we're going to launch that. We're going to add force forward times the bullet force. And then make sure your comments match your code. Then we're going to destroy the bullet because I don't want my whole level filling up with millions of bullets with rigid bodies on them, just bouncing around, hitting walls, destroying people. So we're going to just destroy the bullet after 5 seconds. You can pull that down a lot if you want, but I want to see them pile up in the corner because I'm crazy. All right, so that's our script, our base script for firing a bullet. Again, stolen, borrowed heavily from this video here with some of our own stuff that we're going to be adding later. So let's go back to Unity. All right, so we've got all these things here. Bullet force starts at 0. That's unfortunate. That's not going to go anywhere. Let's just give it 100 to start with. We need a starting point. So let me zoom in on my shotgun here. Right now, if you notice me walking around with that shotgun, my shotgun has no collision on it, which maybe you want, but maybe your shotgun clipping with every wall you walk up to looks dumb to you. So I'm going to go ahead and give it just a box collider around it so it doesn't look too weird. I should just do all this from inside here. Yep. All right, I'm going to re-add. So I'm going to go ahead and add fire projectile here from my FPS prefab so it just stays. Set that to 100. And again, on my shotgun, I'm going to try to add a box collider. Looks like it's confused about what. Oh, no, there it is. It just wasn't showing it. Oh, I don't have my gizmos on. There we go. All right, so I've got a collider around it. Now, assuming we've got a collider around our weapons, we can't really start the bullet inside the chamber. We're just going to go ahead and spawn that right out in front of it and then add force. You want to get crazy and actually like bore out the barrel of that with colliders and start your bullet inside there and use the whatever. You can do whatever insane thing you want. But what I'm saying is this guy is going to need a child that's an empty. So we're just going to add a game object to this. And we're just going to call it Start bullet here. Does it have to be a bullet? No. We'd be launching candy. It's fine. And we want that up in front of the gun. This is where we're starting our thing. Okay? Just to make sure it doesn't collide, I'm going to get it a little bit out in front of there. Is it perfectly centered? Maybe not yet. Maybe it is now. Oh, I still got pro grids on. Nice. Okay. Even though that's not a real thing, like we had to cheat our way to get pro grids, I just like it. I like having that. All right, so our shotgun now in our prefab has a starting point for the bullet. I'm going to go ahead and tell my script that that's what that is. So go boom from here, start bullet here, same thing. Now we need a bullet prefab. So because we want to make things look as ridiculous as possible, I'm going to go to my package manager. My assets, I have downloaded a ball pack filled with lots of ridiculous things. You can go find bullets. That's fine. I think I'm going to launch a spiky ball from my shotgun. Or a lot of them. Yeah. Let me just see what else there is. Yeah. Oh, we got a cannon. We need that in our world for sure. You know what? I'm the ultimate digital hoarder. Maybe this is something that's going to track us later. I don't know. Maybe the cannon will be an AvMesh agent. It follows us around, shoots at us. I'm hoarding it right now. Okay, I'm just grabbing it and hoarding it because I might use it later. Also, there's some good rifles in there if you want to switch up your guns. So yeah, I'm going to import all that too. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, we want our normal maps to be marked as normal maps. That's totally a thing. Okay, now I downloaded a ball pack. Oh, come on. That's, yeah. That's kind of nice. All right, let me, where'd that guy go? Okay, I'm going to make this, I'm not going to use it here, but I want it up by my controller. So I'm going to reset the deal on it there. So it's up by my guy. That's too big. That might be, nah, no, it's too big. So we'll go ahead and shrink that down. If I hit this button, this will do it all. There we go. 0.25 kind of looks good. So I'm going to shoot bombs from my shotgun. And it just so happens, make sure that's on. Is this local? Local, center, pivot? There we go. Local. Okay, so my local Z means it's going to go this way. If I wanted to shoot like with the wick of the bomb on the back, I'd have to rotate this around, maybe give it a parent. I'm just going to fire it as is. The more complex your bullet, the more this is going to matter. If you've got an actual bullet shape, we want it to fire forward, not like slide sideways. For now, I'm going to pretend this is what I want. I'll probably rotate it later. So I'm just sizing that just to make sure it looks right with my guy. He's definitely going to need what? He's going to need a rigid body because we told our script that our bullet would have a rigid body. So I'm just going to add that. I'm not going to set anything there. And since he's got a weird shape, I'm going to give him a mesh collider. He can bounce around kind of funny like. Work. Oh, those are different. Okay, well, maybe not a mesh collider. Meshes are different. So I'm just going to remove that. We'll just give it a sphere collider. So we can adjust our sphere collider or we can add another collider around our wick. Maybe I'll do that. Wait a minute. Wow. Okay. It's all different parts. Add a mesh collider around that guy. We'll let the wick clip. We'll wrap that. So we've got two colliders on it and a rigid body. Hopefully they shouldn't fly apart because the rigid body is on the outer thing. So you can see our collision solution there. Yeah. Yeah. So we could turn that on or off. So that's a good question. So especially since it looks like a bomb, I don't want to like lob this and like watch it arc. If I was definitely imagining that I had just a super high powered sniper rifle, I probably wouldn't even put gravity on my bullet. I just let it fly forward until it hits something. And then what would be funny, since that's a physical bullet, we'd either need to delete the bullet as soon as it hits something, or when it hits something with no gravity, it's just going to like hang out there and float, Matrix style. But we like the shape and we like the colliders, and we've got a rigid body. So I'm going to come down here into my prefabs folder. I'm going to drag this bomb ball down here as a prefab with all of the stuffs on it that we want. And he doesn't even need to exist up here next to my shotgun. So I'm going to delete that. And then on my shotgun, where he wants to know what the bullet prefab is, I'm going to drag this guy from my project window that's been all set up here. Now, will it or won't it work? Who knows? Let's find out. Oh, yeah, I need to fix the bread. Yeah, that's still floating around with me. Shotgun's over here. Hit that stair a little too hard. There we go. Now I've got to figure out what fire one is. Maybe 100 is not the force we're looking for. Boop. Boop, 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 boop. So fire one happens to be mapped to my control key here on the keyboard. And that's just sad. All right, let's fix that. And then we'll look at the input manager while we're at it. So that was 100. Let's just go ahead and crank that up to 1,000 just for giggles. And let me see. Edit, project settings, input manager. Now, I like input manager. Input manager just works. It's fantastic. Unity is moving to something called input system. It's more complex. It's a pain in my derriere. It's not my favorite. So, because I have preferences, we're going to look at input manager. And also, to my knowledge, they have not updated the game developer exam yet to include input system. So we'll look at input manager. But just know that system is a new thing that they're trying to force on us. We get all of these things already for free out of the box. We've already used jump, right? So we tied into these aliases that already exist. And so we're looking in our character for jump. And at some point here, wrong jump. Jump is set to the spacebar, which totally works for us. We could change that to anything we want. Fire one's already set up. It's already set to the left control. It's set to mouse 0. We've got a couple of aliases for each of these, right? So fire one also exists down here. We can map these to joysticks, to controllers, keyboards, mice. They all just work. You could also, we're just tying into what they're already using. You can also just make up something new, right? So can change the size here to 19 and open this guy up. And we're just going to say this is fire toast. We're making up a new thing. And we can set that to be any key we want. Does P work? T for toast. Okay, so we can set all that up, and then as long as we call this string from our script, we know that either joystick button 1 or T or whatever is going to map to that input. Cool stuff. So that's input manager. And that's why Fire 1 automatically worked with left control because it was already set up for me out of the box. All right. Let's see if 1,000 is better on that bomb, or if it still just looks derpy, just falling off the front of my gun. A little better. If I'm lobbing bombs, that might be good. We might go to 1,500 or 2,000. But if this is actually for bombs, kind of cool. Now, let's watch them pile up in the corner and then disappear after 5 seconds. So we got a bunch of these. They bounce around. And then they start going away. Because if we don't have that destroy on there, I could totally kill the frame rate of a game real quick by spamming my Fire 1 key. So I don't think I put anything in here like I told you to do, so shame on me. But if I had barrels and crates that I could shoot at, then I could knock them around. So here we go. I'll just drag some in. Why, I don't know, but imagine a world where you want to shoot treasure chests around. Not that guy. Actually, he's too complex for our purposes. Huh? I happened to have this project open when we were looking at LODs. Yes. So let's drag a regular treasure chest in. Oh yeah, he's already set up for LODs. Anyway, never mind. So I will add a mesh collider, convex, and rigid body to this guy. Again, more complex than you need. I think because he is a multi-res object, I need to tell him which mesh to use. So just use this one, please. Okay. There we go. Use that one. Should work. Maybe it won't. We'll see what happens. Nope. Pay no attention to the man behind that curtain. All right. We just downloaded a bunch of other stuff. We got old props. We got Western props. We'll shoot at the cannon. Brilliant. Okay. Give that guy a rigid body. We'll give that guy a mesh collider. Hope that he's got a single mesh. Yes. Shrink wrapped. Perfect. All right. We can shoot at that. We've got things to shoot at. Perfect. It's fun. So, um, it's me holding down the jump key, and my feet end up on the corner of a mesh, and so every frame that little trigger on my feet is on the mesh, I'm adding force forward. I'm adding force up. So I can super jump if my feet are close enough to an object. Oh, because does your water still have a collider on it? Yeah. Boom, I knocked over the cannon, which looks derpy because the cannonballs just hang out behind it like deer pellets. But it works. All right, mission accomplished. Okay, next phase. You can set up your other gun. I'll set up my toaster and toast here in a minute. But we need UI. Save this, game object, UI, and if I create a text object, then it automatically puts it in a canvas for us. So Sure, add the essentials. That's fine. Do I need to do that? Yeah. Don't need the extras. Okay, so I've got a text. I've got a canvas. Here's something fun in the world of scripting. So look at all these scripts. They got these cool little, Twitter hashtags on them. C#. But if I create a script and I give it the name that should not be named, if I call it a game manager, he gets his own kind of deal. He's still a script. He's still C#. But we've reserved the name game manager, and it gets its own icon to say, hey, this is a cool thing. So I want to create a game manager, and we're going to put him on the canvas. And our game manager is going to, did it do it? Didn't do it. It's going to keep track of how many bullets we fire to start with. Simple thing. You can keep your inventory here. You can keep track of your pickups. We did this like week 2, right? We had like how many pizzas did you pick up, whatever, things like that. But UI, all tracked in a single game manager. So let's go ahead and work on that script, and let's borrow from our past selves like we do. Even though Visual Studio could just write this code for me, apparently. All right. Hello. There we go. All right. So I've got a manager. Paste this jazz in here. So we're just going to count shots. And then we are going to, look at that, it automatically imported TextMesh Pro. Visual Studio has become my friend. We were kind of like, for a while, but now, like, yeah. So we've got our TextMesh Pro UI, UGUI, because regular text got outdated. So I've got that. It's called shot counter, and I've got an int called shots count in my game manager. And then an update, all I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, that text is going to be shots fired, :space, and then whatever count that I put in there. I don't even think I need toString, but it's there. You can still append just an int to that anyway. So I've got an int to keep track of how many shots. I've got a text object, and that's all I need on the game manager right now to keep my UI updated. And I'll just need to go to my fire projectile and add a few things. So I'm going to need my game manager. We can just call him manager. I see GM a lot. Steal some code from past self. So GM is what we called it before. He doesn't even need to be public. And we're going to find, this is a cool little bit that we haven't covered before. So we don't need that guy exposed in the inspector. We don't need him exposed anywhere. But we can say game manager, or just manager is what we called him, equals and we are going to find the object named canvas. This is kind of an expensive thing, right? We are going through our whole hierarchy to find something called canvas. And then on canvas, I'm going to find the component called game manager, and I'm going to store a reference to that. So then here, all I got to do, not there, one down. So every time I fire, I'm going to tell the manager about it. So manager, and since we should have that exposed, shot counter, shot count. And then I'm going to increment that. So plus plus, saying, hey, whatever number you've got, add 1 to it. So that's it. So every time I hit fire, I'm incrementing this int on another script, on another object somewhere. And it should just work if I saved all my stuff. Now I got to set it up. So easy peasy. I've got a canvas. He's got a game manager. He needs to know that this text object is the text object he's looking for. We start at 0 because we haven't fired anything. And then I haven't even looked to see where this is at. So let me just hit F, frame that in. So we've got our canvas and our text right in the middle of the screen, saying how many shots we fired. Which corner should that go in?
Bottom right.
Bottom right. This right? That right? Yeah. So I can hit that, or I can hold Alt and hit that, and it'll move it down there for me. So it moved its anchor point. It's down there in the bottom right. And he just says new text until the script kicks in, but let's see what happens. Shots fired with nothing. Apparently it's not getting the 0. Did I not hook that up? It might be off the screen. Let's look. So instead of free aspect, I'm going to go to full HD here. And it's definitely off the screen because it's zoomed. There we go. No? Oh, it's down here. See it? Yeah, it's the 0's underneath the S. We had some clipping going on there. We can drag that guy out a little bit, give him some more room. There's other things we can do here with our settings. We can change the font. We can change the size, make it bold, italic. Wrapping enabled. Let's say don't wrap. And then use the ellipses instead of overflowing. There's all kinds of settings here, but that should give us enough room for shots fired. And I can even align the justification there. There we go. Let's try that. Shots fired 0 now fits. Use my didn't get enough air in my derped out jumping. Shots fired in the corner, and something's going on. But it's firing it. How? What? What? Do I have the script on there twice? That's the pickup. Let me see. Player movement. It's on there twice. How did I do that? Okay. It's just, that's why it's going by 2. Yeah. I wonder if I'm firing 2 bullets at a time. Well, no, it can't. It can't because I don't have a prefab for it. But it did have access to the counter, and so I was like, I don't know what else happened, but let's say a bullet fired. Okay. Save that. Let me just go ahead and to my actual thing here. I want to apply all of my changes to the prefab. Now let's try that. So as much as it upsets me that I can't kick over the cannon with a character controller rig, I don't think the character controller rig has as many oops, I'm flying instead of jumping type of bugs either. So shots fired, 0, and we're only going up 1 every time we fire. Nice. If numbers don't lie, usually you're dealing with floats maybe. So if we see an issue like that where it's going up by 2, it's a good sign we derped something. All right, so those go. We can add more force to them. We could take gravity off. Right now I can't. Just lobs. If I took the gravity off, it would just fly forward. Lots of things we can do. So what I want you to do, go look at the start of our rubric and our page here. So Blastin, I'm going to finish this up. But let's look here. So we want 2 or more different weapon pickups. Each one needs its own kind of bullet prefab. So you can see I've already set up my toaster and my bread, ready to get that going. We want to be able to switch between weapons. That may be a requirement. That may be a bonus. I'm not sure yet. We're using physics, rigid body bullets, and the bullets delete themselves so that we don't melt our computers. We're going to get to the rest of this stuff later. So we're going to look at all the nav mesh stuff on Thursday. We're going to have guys that run around our scene. They'll go from point A to point B. They may track us. We can do a lot of cool stuff with nav mesh. But the other thing we did today was that game manager is tracking at least a number of shots. So get your guns set up, your projectiles of whatever, right? Maybe it's a book that shoots pieces of paper because you're just not into violence. That's fine. It's fine. Maybe I'm feeding the world with my toaster. It's not about violence. I'm just giving people bread. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a gun. So set up your projectile weapons, projectile tools. Because weapons is skin. We're back to violence. Set at least 2 up. If you don't have, start thinking about win and lose conditions between your levels. We're going to get nav mesh agents. We're going to get other NPCs in there of some sort. And then think about something else you can track. So right now, number of shots fired by the player. So we can also add some other stuff in, right? So how many times did my cannon get hit? I can add that using some more triggers and callbacks to ints in the game manager. We can do hit ratios, player health, enemy health. How many times did my player get hit by a bad guy? Count the number of NPCs that we're trying to protect from the bad guys. All these different things. Work on your UI. Definitely make it better than this because I couldn't even see that. That was the worst. One cool thing that Text Mesh Pro does is there's lots of things we can do. We can add gradients to it. I think we can add drop shadows. There's lots of things we can do to make that pop. Give it a background. Don't make me squint to see shots fired equals 0 in the corner. So work on your levels. Get your guns working. Projectile tools. Get your projectile tools working. Projectile launchers. And work on some UI things. And get ready, because Thursday we're going to add in some other things that move. Maybe they're attacking us. Maybe they're running from us. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Cool? Those scripts are super easy, but you can see the basics of what we did even the first time we looked at scripts with just the click force. We're grabbing a thing, we're adding force to it. Lots of different things we can do with that.